I read an article that was about society stepping into a wellness recession. At this point, I've actually read a few articles about it. And essentially, the premise is that consumerism has perverted the wellness industry. My initial reaction was wellness isn't an industry. And if anything, consumerism created the wellness industry. And if something that is fundamentally corroded is at the root of a thing, can we even go as far as to say that it's been perverted? But, or rather, and to be honest, I'm not really sure at this point. I work in the wellness industry, or what's left of it. So here we are, selling ourselves as we talk about it. Hi, my name is Obella Obo. My pronouns are he, him. I am a therapist and a mental health, identity, and wellness professional, consultant, and more than anything, I am the radical empath. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about decolonizing wellness. I do ultimately agree with the overarching thesis of these articles, and I see it everywhere, especially in how my clients talk about self-care. And part of what I want to do today is dismantle that as best as I can. Among any things that are at the root of the work that I do, I am a decolonialist. That is my approach to my therapeutic practice. It is the fuel for my professional work ethic and at the core of my artistic expression. Capitalism is a poisonous system that impacts our mental health heavily, and dialoguing about how we care for ourselves through it and around it can be hard, and it requires a lot of nuance and intention. We have to ask how colonialism has played a role in the beliefs, behaviors, policies, and practices that we take on. How these things were acquired, by whom, for whom, at what cost. I came up in my work as a mental health professional through a lot of Jesuit institutions, and one of the things that they tend to practice is something called cura personalis, which is care for self. And through that cura personalis practice, I've seen many versions of what is called the wellness wheel, which is breaking down this idea of holistic wellness into compartmentalized sections. In my own work as a therapist, I took a bunch of versions of those, as well as the conversations that I was having with clients, and made my own 9 dimensions of wellness that I sort of use as I'm talking to clients, as we're doing check-ins, as a way of sort of grounding this idea of wellness. I'm not going to go through the wellness wheel in its specificity. I've done that plenty of times, and I would absolutely recommend that you check out my Substack where I talk about that extensively. But I am going to go through it in terms of discussing the ways that we address each of these aspects with intentional actions set to restore and transform ourselves in the wake of the world. Capitalism, colonialism, consumerism, and of course, white supremacy, which you will hear me use interchangeably throughout the rest of this essay because duh. I think another relevant thing to bring up with regard to this idea of self-care, wellness, and the wellness industry, I'm sure you've all heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If not, it's a framework that categorizes the human needs required to achieve an existentially fulfilled state of being, starting with physiological needs, then safety needs, then the need for love and belonging, then the development of strong self-esteem, and ultimately leading to self-actualization, or this aforementioned transcendent self-satisfaction. You will often see Maslow's needs structured as a pyramid, implying that the needs build and ascend, ergo hierarchy, though that was not originally Maslow's doing, as I understand. There have also been more wave-based illustrations that imply some sequentiality that I do believe was at the root of what he was trying to structure, but it's less of this ladder-based idea of talking about these needs. And ultimately, there are just a lot of shortcomings to the hierarchy of needs, including that Maslow intentionally did not study the most vulnerable populations in the development of this framework, under the belief that the study of crippled, stunted, immature, and unhealthy specimens can yield only a crippled psychology and a crippled philosophy. Yikes. A very loaded and uncomfortable sentiment. Additionally, it's pretty well known that Maslow studied the Blackfoot tribe around the time that he was credited with the development of this theory, which is a Canadian indigenous people. In an effort to graciously and humbly reorient his theory without discrediting him or accusing him of plagiarism, the First Nations people have been documented remarking on his framework by saying he did not understand the circular nature in which all beings in Siksika society are, that's a tongue twister, Siksika society are interconnected and integrated. They surround each other and needs are met through connections. All of this is relevant because if we are to be well in a decolonial context, we must make an effort to continually heal and become more of ourselves, and we must address these needs not as a hierarchy, but rather as a topography, a map where everything has value and where we navigate and address those varying levels of value together, collectively, individually, and cyclically. Because you're not just you, you're everyone you've ever loved and ever will love. And we have to reject the idea of a recession fundamentally, because there's a level of scarcity there that's just dishonest, right? The pursuit of true holistic wellness is a limitless pursuit of self. The map of your self-actualization is as big as the cosmos, and any star is no more significant than the other. So even as I talk about the wellness wheel and the different aspects of wellness, know that they're going to shift and change as you get to know yourself, as you get to know the people around you, and as you get to know the world. So let's get into some examples. Tending to your environmental wellness through a decolonial lens might simply look like getting outside, connecting with nature. BB, a walk in the park is free. The government can't take the trees, nor the sun, nor the wind, nor the rain from you. Well, the trees they can kind of take. But you have enough wherever you are. Even in these concrete cities, you can be one with nature regardless of whether there is grass available to you. Because everything on the earth is of the earth. To me, that is a key part of decolonial ideology. Truly, no matter where you are, Mother Earth gonna peek through somewhere. And it's important for us to be able to grab onto that. If you take time to slow down and see her, you are caring for yourself. Also, because you are not just yourself, you are also the world. And in slowing down, you recognize the ways that you are a part of it. Caring for your relational wellness through a decolonial lens looks like, first and foremost, remembering that relationships are relationships are relationships. And you'll hear me say that a lot. Reaching out for connection, but remembering that no one person is responsible for your well-being, for bringing you joy. And if any one person is responsible, it is just yourself. And a relationship with yourself is still a relationship. Regardless, you need a network of community in order to prioritize your care. And that act of care can even be caring for someone else if it's filling you, right? Or allowing yourself to be cared for by someone or someone's else. Tending to your sexual wellness from a decolonial lens might look like pleasure not being something of a reward, but something of a right. Another aspect that Maslow missed in his interpretation of indigenous culture was that he saw wellness as a thing earned rather than a thing written within you. Your spirit craves care, and it craves pleasure and intention because it's what it always deserved. You deserve orgasm. You deserve passion and romance and intimacy, and you can give that to yourself as much as you can allow yourself to receive it from others or allow yourself to ask it from others. A decolonial way to perceive your occupational wellness is about doing the work that serves an expression of self rather than work because you have to. You know how they always say, I don't dream of labor? To be honest, I kind of do. But not the type of labor that's conscripted. The type of labor that is constructing a life of joy. The labor of cleaning the house because I like the environment I set up when I'm cleaning and the outcome of that work. The labor of creating these essays because I enjoy putting my thoughts together into words that are structured and that hopefully in some way or shape or form makes sense. A decolonial occupational act of self-care is putting in the work for you, not the work for capitalism, colonialism at all. Caring for your financial wellness through a decolonial lens might look like doing shit that's free. Because there are always small joys that don't require your wallet. At the same time, it also might look like budgeting. I'm always stressed about money. It is my curse. But once I put the budget together, even if I'm in the red, at least now I know. Most often, the experience that we're wrestling with when we're in states of financial unwellness is the anxiety created from the unknowing. Caring for your recreational wellness through a decolonial lens is going to really be anything as long as we don't make it about money or social expectations. If you like to sew, do so without thinking about selling the clothes that you make. If you like to paint, do that without thinking about selling the art. If you like to write, do it without thinking about who's going to read it. That's me adding myself. Go have fun for fun's sake. Go have enjoyment for enjoyment's sake. Go create because you are a divine being and it is your expressive right. This one's gonna feel a little on the nose, but a good way to care for your mental health and wellness through a decolonial lens is to go to therapy. And everyone needs therapy. And if that is not immediately available to you for a number of reasons, consider journaling, consider looking into community groups that can come at a much more reduced cost or are free, but go to therapy. A way to care for your physical wellness through a decolonial lens is going to the damn doctors, assuming you have insurance, because we know how the world is set up and that is not necessarily available to everyone. And if that were the case, the other one is moving your body. You need to be able to check in with yourself and know what your shell needs. And you can't do that if you are not asking of it. And this is not about fitness and beauty. This is about health and wellness. Please remember that. Finally, a way to care for your spiritual wellness through a decolonial lens is prayer, meditation, mindfulness, whatever that may be. This is not the day I start talking about moving away from colonial religious practices. That day may come, it is not today. I really don't care how you connect to the great well of living. I care that you know there is one, within or without a religious structure around it. Find it for you and devote time to it for you. And remember that no relationship to something is still a relationship to something. If you are a stark atheist, that does not remove your responsibility to spiritual wellness. If you are a devout Christian, that does not remove your responsibility to having an independent and individual practice of wellness around your spirit. I'm going to wrap this up because I already know that I've been yapping. And keep it simple. Wellness is not an industry, it's not an economy, and we are not in a recession. We are in an opportunity for reclamation. The world will always try us. Take back your you. Chile, that's still hot. Damn. It's a good cup, Mark. Anyway.